Good evening, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. I suppose it's a time to make another video. It's been a couple of days. It is, according to my clock, is 9:34 at night here in West Michigan. It is October the 12th. It is a Tuesday night. And my wife has gone to bed, and I come down here in the lower level to read. I've been primarily reading, I showed you this, this book, Darconville's Cat by Alexander Theroux. And I've read 165 pages. It's 704 pages. It says here, Alaric Darconville is a young professor at a women's college in the South. He falls in love with one of his students, is deserted, and the consequences are almost beyond the telling, but not quite. This novel is an astonishing, wire-walking exposition of wit, knowledge, and linguistic mastery. Darconville's Cat is a novel about love and hate. Among other matters, it deals with delicate tensions between life and art, the ideal and the real, the good, real, God and Satan, and above all, with the crisis and conflicts between man and woman, the tragic implications of which reach all the way back to the primal fall. Chapters employ diverse narrative forms, including a diary, a formal oration, a sermon, a litany, a blank verse play, poems, essays, parodies, what's that word? Fables. Darconville's Cat is an explosion of vocabulary, rich with comic invention and dark with infernal imagination. So this came out in 1981. My edition was published. This thing costs $100 right now. I looked on Amazon. I bought this in 2014 for $16. And this came out in 1981, and now it's going for $100. You can get a hardback for $150. But so I also got in the mail today. I ordered used from pals in Chicago, Illinois, and Alexander Theroux, his collected poems. Got that in the mail today. I'm getting all his books eventually. Well, what happens is usually I'll get into a writer and I'll get really into him and I'll read him for a while and then I'll go into something else. But this is what I've been reading. And I also have been reading the book that Rick Hirsch, the writer and publisher, lives in Slovenia. And he sent me this book as a gift, America, the Cult of the Cactus Boots, a Diagnostics by Phillip Freedenberg, and visuals by Jeff Walton. I suppose visuals are things like this inside the book. There's all these visuals. And so I've been reading it off and on. I'll probably read it tonight. I've read about 50 pages. There's more visuals. So I've been reading that. Also been reading this, fan notes by Alexander Theroux, the fan notes by Stephen Moore. Been reading that too. As far as in the mornings, I've been just primarily reading this, The Abuse of God's Grace by Nicolas Claget. I can't pronounce that, but this is a Puritan reprint. He lived from 1610 to 1663. I've read almost 85 pages in this. I'm really getting convicted and blessed by reading this. What I'm going to do in this video primarily is show you used books. Books from the Book Nook. The Book Nook, as you all know, is the Herrick Public Library's used bookstore that's down the lower level of the 4-story library building, and I've been volunteering there over 10 years. Of course, when COVID came, it closed for a year, almost a year and a half, I think. And we've been open since, I don't know, I can't remember, at least a couple months, 3-4 months. And so I get books out of there, and we go to thrift. My wife and I went to thrift store. We went to Blue Stockings bookshop. My wife was thinking about unloading some books, and I wanted to go to Salvation Army. I hadn't been there in a while, and so yeah, I'm just going to show used books from the Book Nook and thrift stores. I got this at the Book Nook. This, as you all know, even when I dehauled, I took, what's the word? I didn't get rid of them. I gave them to Gateway Center, which is the Holland Rescue Mission, and I gave them some to the Blue Stocking Bookshop for in-store credit. But I kept my Mark Twain collection, and this is a defense of Harriet Shelley and other essays by Mark Twain. This is an old book. It was published in 1925, and I don't know, it's just essays by Mark Twain. So I kept that from my Mark Twain collection. Then I picked this up at the Book Nook. I like memoirs, and this is a memoir called Texas Blood: 7 Generations Among Outlaws, Ranchers, Indians, Missionaries, Soldiers, and Smugglers of the Borderlands by Roger D. Hodge. As you all know, my wife and I did my internship, my ministerial internship in Houston, Texas, back in the early 80s. I think maybe mid-80s. I don't have my timeline with me, but we were in Texas. We went, and we drove around Texas, San Antonio, and Galveston, and other places in Texas. But so it looked really interesting. I like history, especially history of the Southwest, so we got that. And then I picked up this new book by Emily St. John Mandel. She's famous for the book Station 11, which I have in our library. I think this is her new book, The Glass Hotel. This came into the Book Nook. It cost me, I think, $3. It's brand new. And so I got that. And then I picked this up at a thrift store, and I realized when I dehauled my books, I had given it away or given it to some either Blue Stocking, or probably I gave it to Gateway thrift store. But this book by Lynn Delton, Winner: The Tragic Story of a Berlin Family, 1899 to 1945. And I already had it cataloged in my library thing. It had a different cover, but it was the same book. So I got this at Buy This to Mexico for, I think I got 50 cents. And then I picked this book up at, I might have shown this book, but I'm not sure. This is the Sign, I can't pronounce it, the River That Flows Through Paris, The River That Made Paris by Elaine, can't pronounce her name, the Shine, oh, I can't remember, but she, this is as you all know, I collect books on Paris and France, and it got good reviews. It looked interesting. It was only $1. I wish I could pronounce the name. Forgive me. And then I picked up at the Book Nook the new Hezu Eshigura, Clara and the Sun, a novel. I have all his novels. This is his newest one. It came into the Book Nook, and I paid $3 for it. I think it goes for $28 in a retail. What's it? Giro Hishiguro? Anyway, I got that at the Book Nook. And then I picked this book up at the Book Nook, Mark Twain and the Colonel, Samuel Clemens, Theodore Roosevelt and the Rival of the New Century by Philip McFarlane. I have a huge Theodore Roosevelt collection, which I kept, and also go with my Mark Twain, so I got this. This cost me $2. So I got those at the Book Nook. Those books, and I picked this up at the Book Nook yesterday. What's today? Today is Tuesday. Monday. I collect the novels of Chuck Palahniuk. This is Beautiful You. I didn't have this one. I have almost all of his writings. I don't know why I didn't dehaul him. I don't know. I just kept him, and so I keep collecting him. Then I got at the Book Nook. This book, it's heavily underlined. And at the Book Nook, any book that's heavily underlined, they throw it away. And I told the woman who runs the bookstore, the Book Nook, that I want it. This is A Peculiar Glory, How the Christian Scriptures Reveal Their Complete Truthfulness by John Piper. This is the second volume, and I already had this one by John Piper, Reading the Bible Supernaturally, Seeing and Savoring the Glory of God in Scripture. These both go together. That's why I wanted it. Plus, John Piper is worth reading. If you're into Christian literature, any book by John Piper is worth reading. My wife reads him, and I read him. Once in a while, I'll pick a book up by him and read it. At the Blues today, we went to Salvation Army because after we went to Blue Stocking, I had to visit Salvation Army. I hadn't been there a couple of weeks, and I found a novel by William Boyd. You know, I collect the writings of William Boyd. This is his novel, The Blue Afternoon. And I have I think I have 14 novels by him. Something like that. Maybe not 14. I know I have several. But I collect him. And then at Blue Stocking, I found a collection of short stories by Camus I didn't have. Exile in the Kingdom. This is a Vintage International. Anything by Vintage International is worth buying. I got this for 50 cents for my Albert Camus collection. These six stories display Albert Camus at the height of his powers. From a variety of masterfully rendered perspectives and tones, they depict people at the decisive moments of revelation. A wife betrays her husband to give herself to the desert night. A renegade missionary is brutally converted to the worship of a tribal fetish. A carefree artist is caught between society's values and his own private yearnings. Whether set in North Africa, Paris, or Brazil, these classic stories share a single theme: modern man condemned by nature and circumstances to spiritual exile, ever seeking an inner kingdom in which to be reborn. So I picked that up at Blue Stockings. At Blue Stockings, I got these books for in-store credit mostly. This is a novel by Madox Ford, who I collect. This is his novel, No Enemy. I recently read his novel, The Good Soldier. He's famous for his novel, The Parade's Inn. It was The Nightingale, etc. So I got this. Also, I picked up at the Blue Stockings Mario Vargas Llosa's novel In the Praise of the Stepmother. I collect his books. I have a whole shelf over there of his novels. He is he's Peru's foremost writer, is the author of 9 of the novels, The Storyteller, Aunt Julia, and the scriptwriter, The War of the End of the World. That's one of my favorite books. The War of the End of the World. That's what really got me into reading him. Check his novel out, The War of the End of the World. I'll show it to you. Hold on. Oh, where is that? This one. This is one of my favorite novels, The War of the End of the World by Mario Vargas Llosa. This is a tremendous novel. I highly recommend it. And then I picked up at Salvation Army The Limits of Enchantment by Graham Joyce. I collect his novels. I have some over here. Wait a minute, they're behind me. This is by Graham Joyce. The Tooth Fairy. And then Graham Joyce, he wrote Smoking Poppy, another novel. And then he wrote The Facts of Life by Graham Joyce. So I collect his writings. He's a British writer, so now I have 4 of Graham Joyce's writings. And then I picked up at the Book Nook the new biography on Sylvia Plath, The Red Comet, The Short Life and Blazing Art of Sylvia Plath by Heather Clark. I have a huge Sylvia Plath collection. She's always fascinated me. Her diaries, her letters, her poetry, her life. So I got this. I got it for $7, I think. $9. I think $7, $6. And then I got this at the Book Nook. This is a graphic novel by Edward Gorey. I think that's his name. Yeah, Edward Gorey. It's just a Barnes & Noble thing. It's kind of... I just bought it. It was only $2.50. I don't know. I just kind of liked it, so I bought it. So I got that. So that's, and I think I've shown you that I got these in the mail last week. This Andrew Guide, Notebooks of Andrew Walter. This is translated out of French by Wade Baskin. And then I also bought a novel by Anthony Burgess, The End of the World News. Rich and Riotous Terminal Odyssey. I collect Anthony Burgess. I collect Andrew Guide. He was a French writer. He wrote journals. He wrote plays. Very a prominent figure in French literature. So yeah, and like I said, that's what I got at the Book Nook, the Blue Stockings bookshop, and at Salvation Army and Bibles to Mexico. So those are my used books, and I don't think I have some books coming in the mail. I'll show those when they come in. I got books coming in November. I got a lot of, not a lot, but several books coming in November. So yeah, so as far as how I'm doing okay. Reading the Bible, reading that book on Abuse of God's Grace. This is really a good book. I highly recommend it for devotion, searching yourself, guide to prayer, self-examination. Not much else going on. The weather here today was rainy and cold, and we're coming to the middle of the month, October. Before it will be November, then December, and then we'll be in the winter months. And so yeah, so that's all. I don't have much to show I can think of. So I'm reading, and like I said, I'm primarily getting into this book, and I got some more. I got a book of his coming in the mail, and I got some other books coming in the mail. And I got this in the mail today, his collected poems. Oh, I also been reading still this book, The Worm in the Bud, The World of Victorian Sexuality by Ronald. Pearsall. Still reading this. So I will sign off before the battery dies. I use a camera to film my videos. I don't have an iPhone. I don't use a laptop. I use my camera here, which seems to be working okay. So I hope you're all doing well. You're all in my prayers. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the subscribers. And do pray that you have a good week. And until next time, bye.